everybody. Thank you for sticking it out here. I'm going to be doing this in my first language, and I can only hope that I'm as successful as the other individuals who were working in their second language. So what I'm going to talk about actually has a little bit to do with what Professor Chen talked to us about earlier in the afternoon. But basically, I come to my work just down the block after my experience with VIA, which was in Qinghai province, that we also heard very briefly about with Jingbo's talk, which is in northwest China, a very lightly populated area of northwest China. And I was there for actually 3 years. I signed up originally only for 2, but I found the experience to be so rewarding that I stayed for a third. And then I came back, and I now work at a research collaboration called the Rural Education Action Project, that the U.S. headquarters of which is about 200 yards down the street, and our main collaborators are with the Chinese Academy of Sciences. And so basically what we do is we run social policy experiments in the area of education and health among rural communities in China. And a question that I get asked a lot is, isn't China a superpower now? Can't they figure out these issues on their own? Why do they need the help of outsiders? And you know, every time we look at the newspaper, we see all of this news about incredible technological and economic advances in China. And those things are all true, but the fact of the matter is I can't say whether or not China is a superpower. That's the job of the political scientists in the next building there. But getting back a little bit to the issues that Professor Chen was talking about, China is really right smack in the middle of a very difficult transformation. And as you can see, these 2 pictures were taken in the same year. One is Shanghai, and one is actually in Ningxia, which is also in northwestern China. And so China is really trying to move from a sort of low to middle income country into a high income country. And this is something that a lot of countries have tried to do, and very few have succeeded. And inequality, part of that same image of the dumbbell of having a fair amount of people, a very polarized population economically. Inequality is a factor in this transition. And so I'd like to just explore a little bit the graduates, those countries that in the past 50 or 60 years have moved from middle income status to upper income status, and they tend to share a certain a common trait, which is the sense that their rates of inequality tend to be relatively low. And here we have Gini coefficients, which are what economists use to represent inequality, where 0 is perfect equality and 100 is perfect inequality. And so the average for graduates is about 33, whereas for aspirees, the average score is about 47. And China is above that and rising. So why is this a problem? Why is trying to move into an upper income status depends so much on inequality? Well, when you have high rates of growth like you've had in China for the past 30 years, you can absorb a lot of the challenges that come with inequality. And the problem is that now economic growth in China is probably more likely to decline or slow down. And most economists agree with this prognostication. And Justin Lin, he was basically the biggest cheerleader of the Chinese economic model. Even he agrees. The Chinese government itself agrees. Aiken Green, who's an economist across the bay at Berkeley, agrees. The World Bank and McKinsey, the big consultancy. So Why is this happening? Well, the old engines of growth in China are slowing down. The huge labor pool and the returns that you get from building all of those railways and roads and factories and other infrastructure. Wages are rising. The advantages that China has gained from being a low-cost manufacturing center are diminishing. Chinese labor has become increasingly more expensive. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that all of these people who are employed in low-skilled manufacturing may wake up in 10 or so years and find that their jobs are gone. And they are replaced by higher skilled labor jobs that depend on many more diverse skills. For example, this here is my mechanic in Palo Alto, and every day he has to work. He's got to know computers. He has to know all kinds of advanced skills. And the question that our research collaboration is asking is, are these rural Chinese children going to be able to take those jobs, compete for those jobs in the future in order to sustain China's growth? As many of you may know, even though China has some of the largest cities in the world, half of its population still is characterized as being rural. The urbanization rate in the United States is about 85%. And so there's still a lot of urbanization in China that has to happen. And that urbanization, it is these kids who, when they grow, whoops, where are the kids? Here are the kids. These kids are going to be the ones when they grow up. They're going to move to cities and compete for those higher skilled jobs. And so our task is to explore different ways to boost human capital among those rural residents. And human capital is basically can be loosely defined as health and education, in order to ensure that those people, when they grow up, can do more than just put shoes together for the export market. So why is inequality important for this? Well, today's inequality plus today's human capital inequality couldn't equal tomorrow's even more severe inequality. So we are working with the large fraction of tomorrow's workforce that still resides in poor rural areas. We're talking about dozens of millions of young people. Unfortunately, China's education system is quite unequal, and the probability of a child from a poor rural area to advance through school is much, much smaller than their urban counterpart. And as you can see here, I'll skip that little part there. There's a huge amount of dropout and problems in rural areas. What is behind this? Well, there's actually a huge, diverse set of reasons behind this, but they could be categorized into these general categories: high costs of schooling, inadequate health services, poorly motivated teachers and administration, and very narrow criteria for advancement. So that's where our group comes in. We work in these theme areas. We run big, large-scale social policy experiments, which are sort of like testing a pharmaceutical. You have a very large sample, you divide it in half, you randomly assign an intervention and a control group, and you do the policy on half the kids and not on the other half. And you have a measurement at the beginning and a measurement at the end, and you try, and if you organize things properly, if there's any kind of benefit that accrues to the intervention group, then you can attribute that with confidence to your policy intervention. And so we run these all over China. in the western and central areas that are the most heavily populated. There's a huge amount of need, obviously, in the Northwest, but there aren't as many people there, so you don't get as much sort of bang for your buck. Then what we do with our results is we essentially work together with our partners at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and we distill our findings into a policy brief that we then send through by way of the Chinese Academy of Sciences to China's top leaders. I need to change this slide because there's a new administration now, but many of our policy briefs have gone to these individuals, and who then incorporate them into the policy discussion and affect a positive change in the areas that we work in. And so this is then signing our policy brief, which makes us all very proud. And in that way, our experiment, which involves a few thousand people, can be upscaled to affect millions. And really, it was VIA who got me into this racket in the first place of development and in rural China through my work in Shanghai. And I'm profoundly appreciative of that opportunity. So thank you, VIA.